Okay, let's dive in. Imagine this. That first hour, right after you wake up, it might not just be about, hitting the snooze button or grabbing coffee.
Right.
The sources we looked at suggest it could actually hold this, secret code for how long you live, and maybe more importantly, how well you live into old age.
Yeah, it's a pretty bold claim, isn't it, that most of us are sort of unknowingly, well, sabotaging our health before we even really start the day.
Exactly. Before breakfast, even. It sounds kind of wild. We think about, big gym routines or totally changing our diet.
Mm-hmm. The big stuff.
Yeah, the big stuff. But these sources are saying, hold on, maybe the most powerful lever is actually way simpler. Right there, in that first hour.
It's all about the signals, apparently. The physiological signals you send your body right at the beginning. They either build you up or chip away at your health over time.
And that's really our mission today, isn't it? We've dug into these sources looking at people who consistently live well into their 90s, even 100s, the ones who are still full of life,
The vibrant ones.
the vibrant ones. And these sources, they've boiled it down to 7 specific morning habits that just keep showing up in their routines.
7 habits. And we're going to walk through them.
We are. And you'll definitely want to stick around because habit number 4, apparently it takes just 30 seconds. Seriously. But the payoff is supposed to be massive.
Yeah, that one's intriguing. But what makes this compelling, I think, is that it isn't just like lab research or theory. The sources use real stories, like Walter.
Ah, Walter's story. Yeah, tell us about Walter.
Well, Walter, at 65, he was looking around, seeing his friends starting to deal with the usual stuff. Heart problems, memory fading, not getting around so well.
The things we often associate with getting older, sadly.
Exactly. But Walter today, he's 93. He lives totally on his own, still drives, volunteers 3 times a week. It's quite the picture.
93 and volunteering. That's incredible. It's the vibrancy we're talking about. And it wasn't just lucky genes. Sources mentioned his family history wasn't amazing.
No, not particularly. Most didn't make it past, 75? He actually credits this big shift in his health to attending a health seminar back when he was 65.
Okay.
And guess what he learned about? These exact 7 morning habits. He just started doing them consistently.
Wow. So his story is kind of like Exhibit A, isn't it? Proof that these aren't just nice ideas, but actual practices that can change things, even if you start later in life.
Absolutely. It's powerful evidence, Makes you think it's possible.
It really does. His story suggests these habits could genuinely transform your health, especially if you're, say, over 60 and thinking about the decades ahead. So, okay, let's get into it. Let's uncover these secrets. Where do we start? Habit number 1.
Habit number 1, immediate hydration.
Okay, immediate hydration. Sounds simple enough, but the sources, they paint a pretty concerning picture of what's going on inside us while we sleep. Dehydration, obviously. But they use this phrase, morning blood sludging. That just sounds bad.
It sounds really bad, doesn't it? And the research cited backs that up. Experts like Dr. Jessica Rothman, longevity researchers, they point out this overnight dehydration can actually speed up biological aging.
Speed it up. By how much?
The figure mentioned is pretty shocking, by almost 31%.
31%.
Yeah.
Just from being dehydrated overnight.
Yeah. Dr. Rothman's work, mentioned in the sources, explains that this sludging, this thicker blood, it forces your heart to pump harder.
Right. Puts a strain on it.
Exactly. And it's not just the heart. That strain damages the tiny blood vessels everywhere, especially in your brain and your kidneys.
Yeah.
Year after year, that damage adds up, making you age faster.
Okay, wow. That statistic alone is
Yeah.
eye-opening. So the simple fix, what do these long-lived folks do?
It's the very first thing, the absolute first thing when they wake up. Before the phone, before coffee, before anything, they drink water.
The timing is key then, like the moment you open your eyes.
That's what the sources emphasize, yeah. Rehydrate the system immediately.
And they shared Sylvia's story too, which really makes this point.
Yeah.
She was, 72? Dealing with serious kidney problems, fatigue, memory issues.
Yeah, things were bad. They were even talking about dialysis. But then she started doing just one thing.
The water habit.
Just the water habit. 16 ounces, first thing upon waking. And within 60 days, just 2 months, her kidney function improved by 28%.
28%. Just from water.
Her doctor was apparently astonished. No new drugs, just that morning water. It really highlights the, immediate power of simple hydration for vital organs.
That's incredible. Such a turnaround. Okay, so the actionable step here is super clear. Get a glass of water ready the night before.
Exactly. About 16 ounces, half a liter or so. Room temperature is often suggested. Put it right on your nightstand.
Make it non-negotiable.
Absolutely. The sources say Drink the whole thing the second your eyes open, before your feet hit the floor, ideally. Think about it. After hours without fluids, your organs are just waiting for it. They need it to flush things out and counteract that sludging.
So it's not just about waking up. It's kidney health, heart health. It's this foundational practice of the longest-lived people. Makes total sense when you put it like that, rehydrating the system.
Okay, ready for habit number 2?
Let's do it.
Habit number 2, exposure to natural morning light.
Sunlight. Yeah, that feels good. But the sources dig deeper, right, into the why. Why is getting that light in the morning specifically so important for living longer?
They really do. The problem they pinpoint is missing out on natural light within the first, say, 30 minutes after you wake up. They call it a critical error that messes with your circadian rhythm.
Circadian rhythm, that's our internal body clock, right? The 24-hour cycle.
Pretty much, yeah. And the sources link this morning light directly to melatonin, but maybe not in the way you'd first think.
How so?
Well, research they cite from places like the National Institute on Aging shows that getting that sun exposure early actually boosts your melatonin production later in the day significantly by up to 73%.
Wow. So morning light helps you sleep better at night.
Exactly. Dr. Andrew Peterson, a circadian rhythm expert explains it like this: that morning light is like hitting the master reset button for your hormones. It triggers cascades that influence sleep, sure, but also your metabolism, your mood, even how sharp your brain is all day long.
Okay, so it sets the stage for the whole day. And the flip side, what happens if you consistently miss that morning light signal?
The sources point to some concerning links: a 37% higher risk of neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's or Parkinson's after age 70.
37%. That makes you think about our modern lives, doesn't it? Always indoors first thing.
It really does. Is staying inside shielding us from something vital? And they share Benjamin's story here. He was 75, had terrible insomnia for years, tried everything.
I remember that one.
And his doctor just suggested 10 minutes outside, right after waking up. Rain, shine, didn't matter.
It worked.
Dramatically improved his sleep in just 2 weeks. But here's the kicker, the unexpected stuff. His blood pressure dropped 15 points, and that afternoon energy slump he always got, gone.
Just from 10 minutes of morning light. That's another one that seems almost too simple for such big results.
It does, yeah. So the action step is clear. Get outside within 30 minutes of waking.
Even if it's cloudy.
Especially if it's cloudy. The sources emphasize outdoor light, even on an overcast day, is way, way brighter, like 50 to 100 times brighter than your indoor lights. It has the right wavelengths to trigger that reset.
And if you can't easily get outside, mobility issues maybe?
Then sit by an open window. That's the next best thing.
Yeah.
They mention light therapy lamps can help as a supplement, but natural light is still considered, the gold standard.
Got it. So the payoff is better sleep, a reset clock, and actually slowing down aging at a cellular level. Your body is literally waiting for that light signal.
Okay, moving on. Habit number 3, gentle movement before breakfast.
Yeah, the morning stiffness habit. I feel that one sometimes. The sources claim that just, sitting around until you eat breakfast can actually make things worse for your joints long term.
They link it directly to inflammation and how your joints might feel when you're, say, 80. Staying sedentary first thing apparently kicks off these inflammatory processes that accelerate deterioration.
So the counter move is move first, eat later.
Gentle movement, specifically, before you eat or drink anything besides that water. Research they highlight from the Mayo Clinic, for instance, found that this habit can reduce joint deterioration in seniors by up to 65%.
65%? That's huge for joints.
It is, and Dr. Lisa Monroe, a geriatric medicine chief cited, explains why. Moving before eating helps activate autophagy.
Autophagy, I've heard of that. It's like the body's cellular cleanup crew, right? Recycling old parts.
Exactly that. And Dr. Monroe's work suggests it's absolutely vital for keeping joints healthy. They've actually measured lower inflammatory markers, less wear and tear signals in seniors who do gentle movement before breakfast compared to those who wait.
That makes sense. Clean up the system before you put more fuel in. And Harriet's story really drives this home. She was 68, facing knee replacement surgery because of arthritis pain.
Yeah, pretty serious situation. Her physical therapist suggested, kind of as a last-ditch effort, just 7 minutes of gentle movement right after waking before food or coffee.
7 minutes? What happened?
3 months later, her pain was reduced so much the surgeon canceled the operation, canceled it. She could play with her grandkids again, something she thought was gone forever.
Wow, another powerful story. Just 7 minutes of gentle movement. Okay, so what does that look like? What kind of movements are we talking about?
It's not about breaking a sweat. The sources stress gentle.
Yeah.
Think lubrication, making circles with your ankles, then your knees, then your hips, shoulders, wrists, just easy flowing movements, maybe some gentle standing sways or a very slow forward bend.
Focusing on the joints.
Exactly. It's about waking things up softly, that morning stiffness. The sources say that's your body telling you it needs this gentle activation. Do it for 5 to 10 minutes after your water before anything else.
Okay, the payoff.
Yeah.
Protecting your joints for the long haul, staying mobile, activating those longevity pathways. Makes a lot of sense.
All right, ready for the big one. Habit number 4, the 30-second breathing practice.
Ah, yes, the 30-second wonder habit. The sources really hyped this one up, saying it's maybe the most powerful longevity practice shared by almost everyone living healthily into their 90s and beyond. And only 30 seconds. It sounds, almost too easy.
It does sound almost too good to be true, I agree. But the claim is grounded in some fascinating observations and research, especially from the blue zones.
Those places where people live incredibly long, healthy lives.
Exactly. Researchers studying these zones noticed a pattern. These really long-lived people often perform specific, short breathing exercises every single day, and studies linked to this suggest these simple patterns can slash cellular stress markers by almost half, up to 48%.
Cut stress markers by nearly 50% from breathing for 30 seconds. How? What's the mechanism there?
Well, Dr. Michael Cohen, who did research in Sardinia, Italy, one of those blue zones measured things like inflammatory markers and stress hormones like cortisol. He found significant differences in those who did these practices. He explains it in the sources by talking about the vagus nerve. This breathing seems to strongly activate it. The vagus nerve is like this huge communication highway between your brain and body. Activating it signals safety, calm, basically tells your body, hey, you're safe, you can relax.
Ah, so it shifts you out of that fight or flight stress mode.
Precisely. And when your body isn't constantly stressed, it can focus its resources on repair, maintenance, long-term health, longevity.
The example from Sardinia was striking the researcher Douglas, watching these old guys in the villages, men living well into their 90s.
Yeah, and they were all doing these deep, rhythmic breaths first thing in the morning. Their biological markers, things like heart rate variability, which shows how resilient your nervous system is, and their cortisol levels, they looked more like people decades younger.
Amazing. And that's Shepard, the 96-year-old.
Right. He basically said it sets him up for a good day. If he skips it, he feels it lower energy, less clear thinking by lunchtime. He felt the difference.
Okay. I'm sold on the why. Now, the how. What is this 30-second practice?
It's often called the 4-7-8 breathing technique. The sources recommend doing it right after your water, maybe while you're getting that morning light.
4-7-8. How does it go?
Super simple. You breathe in quietly through your nose for a count of 4 seconds. Then you hold your breath gently for a count of 7 seconds. And then you breathe out completely through your mouth, making a soft whoosh sound for a count of 8 seconds.
In for 4, hold for 7, out for 8.
That's it. And you just repeat that cycle 3 or 4 times.
3 or 4 times?
Yeah.
That really is only about 30 seconds, maybe 40.
Exactly. Tiny time investment. But the sources insist the effects are measurable. Lower blood pressure, reduced inflammation signals, lower stress hormones. You're actively pulling your nervous system to chill out and focus on thriving, not just surviving.
Highest return on investment, they called it. 30 seconds for potentially huge long-term benefits. It seems worth trying, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Okay, habit number 5. Let's talk breakfast.
Right. Protein and fiber-rich breakfast. The sources were pretty blunt here, saying most typical breakfasts, cereal, toast, pastries, even just coffee, actually accelerate aging.
Yeah, they use terms like silently undermining your health potential. It's mainly about triggering big insulin spikes and fueling chronic low-grade inflammation.
Which we know are drivers of aging and disease.
Definitely. And the research from nutritional gerontologists backs this up. They found that the breakfast patterns common in those long-lived populations significantly reduce inflammatory markers by up to 53% in some studies.
53% reduction in inflammation just from changing breakfast.
That's what the research suggests. Dr. Valerie Richardson, cited from the Longevity Nutrition Institute, explains that your first meal has this outsized impact. It sets your metabolic tone for the whole day, influencing insulin sensitivity, how your cells repair themselves, everything.
So it's not just about calories, it's about the type of information you're giving your metabolism first thing.
Yeah.
Protein and fiber are key.
Those are the magic ingredients, according to the sources. Dr. Richardson's work suggests aiming for at least 25 grams of protein and 8 grams of fiber at breakfast. That combo helps stabilize blood sugar, promotes satiety, and supports those cellular repair processes instead of triggering stress and inflammation.
25 grams of protein. That's a decent amount. And 8 grams of fiber.
And Gerald's story illustrates this perfectly, right? He was 68, pre-diabetic, high inflammation.
Yeah, doctors basically told him he was on a fast track to full-blown diabetes. But instead of just starting meds, he changed his breakfast, ditched the toast and coffee,
And switch to.
a protein and fiber-focused meal. The sources don't specify exactly what, but think eggs with veggies, or Greek yogurt with berries and nuts, or a protein shake with chia seeds. 6 months later, his blood sugar and inflammation markers were back to normal.
Normalized. Just from breakfast.
His doctor was apparently skeptical at first, but the lab results didn't lie. It's another example of how powerful that first meal can be. Okay, so the blueprint. Combine good protein eggs, yogurt, maybe tofu scramble, protein powder with fiber berries, seeds like chia or flax, oats, even some veggies, and add a healthy fat.
Yep, like avocado, nuts, seeds, maybe a little olive oil. And the really crucial part, the big don't from the sources. No refined carbs before 10 a.m.
No white bread, pastries, sugary cereals.
Exactly. Those are the main culprits for the insulin spikes they warn against.
Got it. So the payoff isn't just avoiding a mid-morning crash. It's setting your body up for repair. Less inflammation, better blood sugar control. All from rethinking breakfast.
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, habit number 6, morning social connection.
Now this one feels a bit different, more psychological maybe, but the sources make some really strong claims, like connection being more powerful than supplements and isolation being as bad as smoking.
Yeah, the comparison to smoking 15 cigarettes a day really grabs your attention. It underscores how fundamentally social we are as beings. And again, the sources highlight the timing. That morning connection seems particularly potent.
How so? Is there research on the timing?
There is. They point to that huge, long-running Harvard study, 80 years. It found that having meaningful social contact in the morning was actually a stronger predictor of longevity than even quitting smoking or regular exercise.
Stronger than quitting smoking. Wow.
It's pretty stunning. Dr. Robert Miller, involved in the later stages of that study, found that people who had some real connection, not just superficial chat, but meaningful contact before 10 a.m., had a 29% lower risk of dying from any cause.
29% lower mortality. Just from connecting in the morning. That's hard to ignore. What's the biological explanation? How does talking to someone affect your body like that?
Dr. Miller's research suggests it sets off positive neurotransmitter patterns. Think oxytocin, maybe serotonin. These chemicals seem to ripple out, positively affecting your heart function, your immune system, even calming your stress response for the rest of the day. It's like a biochemical signal of safety in the tribe.
Safety in the tribe. I like that. And the Okinawa example fits perfectly here, doesn't it? The brief morning gatherings.
Absolutely. Nancy, the researcher there, described neighbors just checking in, maybe only for 5 minutes, but it was a consistent daily ritual, vital for their social fabric.
And that 97-year-old woman.
Yeah, she said her day felt wrong if she didn't connect with someone early. It wasn't just habit, it felt necessary. And biologically, their inflammatory markers looked years, even decades, younger compared to isolated seniors.
Okay, so this is crucial. How do we actually do this?
Yeah.
Especially if mornings are rushed or if you live alone.
The sources give practical tips. Number 1, a quick call. Just 3-5 minutes on the phone with a friend or family member counts. Make it a real connection, though.
Not just logistics.
Right. Number 2, if you live with people, create a deliberate check-in ritual. More than just morning. Maybe share one thing you're looking forward to.
Okay.
Number 3, if you live alone, schedule something. A regular weekly coffee with a neighbor, a standing morning call with a sibling, even a friendly, genuine chat with the person at the coffee shop or the bus driver can trigger some positive effects.
So make it intentional, non-negotiable, like the water or the movement.
Exactly. The sources frame it as a biological necessity, not a luxury. Your body needs that signal of connection to truly thrive and activate those longevity pathways. It impacts your heart, your immune system, everything.
It's a powerful reminder.
Yeah.
Okay, one habit left, number 7.
Habit number 7, directed gratitude practice.
Right, the mental habit. And the sources stress it's not just general feeling thankful. It's specific, intentional gratitude aimed at your own body.
Yes, that directed part seems key.
Yeah.
And the science behind it is pretty fascinating. Neuroscientists at Yale found that this kind of practice can actually help rewire the aging brain.
Rewire the brain. How?
It seems to reduce cortisol, that stress hormone, by around 23%. Dr. Sarah Jenkins, who studies this at Yale, has seen changes on brain scans, fMRI scans. Seniors doing this regularly show more activity in their prefrontal cortex, the part involved in focus and emotional control. Their brains start looking, in some ways, more like younger brains.
That's incredible. Brain changes from a gratitude practice. And the timing matters here too, like the light.
It seems so. Dr. Jenkins' work suggests the benefit is strongest within that first hour of waking. It kind of sets the brain's emotional thermostat for the day in a more positive, less stressed state.
And Patricia's story, she had high blood pressure that wasn't responding well to meds.
Exactly. She was 74, doctors were concerned. She started the simple morning gratitude practice, but really focused it on her body, thanking her heart for beating, her lungs for breathing, specific things.
The results.
Within 3 months, her blood pressure stabilized into a healthy range, and her heart rate variability, that marker of nervous system health, improved by a whopping 31%.
31% improvement in HRV from gratitude.
Her doctor was initially skeptical, apparently, but the consistent positive changes in her actual health markers were undeniable. It shows the profound mind-body connection.
It really does. Okay, so how do you do this specific practice? What are the steps?
It's very simple. The sources suggest doing it for about 2 minutes, maybe right after your 4-7-8 breathing. You place your hand over your heart, take a breath. Then you mentally name 3 specific things about your body you're grateful for, and why.
Specificity is key.
Absolutely. Not just thanks for my health, more like I'm grateful for my eyes because they let me read stories to my grandkids. Or I'm thankful for my legs because they still let me walk in the park. Or thank you to my immune system for working so hard. Directing that positive feeling inward.
Towards the physical self.
Exactly.
Right.
The sources are clear. This isn't just positive thinking fluff. It's using your mind to create a measurable shift in your nervous system, reducing stress hormones, calming inflammation, supporting your immune function. Costs nothing, takes minutes, but could genuinely influence how long and well you live by changing your physiology through perspective.
Wow. Okay, so let's pull it all together. These 7 habits. Immediate water, morning light, gentle movement before food, the 30-second breath, protein fiber breakfast, morning connection, and directed gratitude. The sources present these as the common threads in the lives of these incredibly vibrant, long-lived people.
Yeah, they seem almost deceptively simple individually, but the power, according to the sources, lies in their synergy and consistency, especially in that first hour. They set off these positive physiological cascades that compound over time.
Building health day by day.
Pretty much. And it's important to remember what the sources also stress. You don't have to become a superhero overnight and do all 7 perfectly tomorrow.
Right. Walter started gradually.
Exactly. The message is start somewhere. Pick 2 or 3 that resonate most, the ones you feel you can realistically implement. Even that can start creating noticeable shifts. The key is just starting tomorrow.
It really reframes that morning hour, doesn't it? Not just waking up, but actively choosing to program your body, either towards health and youthfulness or just letting default habits contribute to decline.
They're presented as essential practices, not optional extras. If the goal is not just hitting 90, but arriving there with energy, clarity, and, purpose.
Yeah. Which leads to that final thought-provoking question the sources leave us with.
Right. It asks you to consider, where is your focus usually? Especially when you think about your body. Is it on the aches, the pains, what's wrong, what's declining?
Or have you actually taken a moment, maybe this morning or will you tomorrow, to genuinely thank your body for everything it does do, for carrying you through life?
Because the claim is that perspective shift. It literally changes your physiology. So the question really is, which path are you going to set for yourself tomorrow morning?